Okay, so the only thing that's going to change today, we're going to factor out the greatest common factor, just like we always do. Then we're going to factor into the binomials, which is make our little t-chart, which is a times c and b. Then we're going to set each binomial equal to 0 and to solve. So the only other thing, these all have to be in standard form. And when I say standard form, I mean it has to be equal to 0. So if I have this, to put this in standard form, what do I have to do? Right, I'm going to subtract the 5, and where am I going to put it? Behind the 12x, right? So I'm going to get x squared plus 12x minus 5. Now that's in standard form. What if it looked like this? Now what am I going to want to do? So if I subtract the 2x, it's negative. Can we factor if it's negative? We can't. So I want the 2x to stay positive. So we're going to start by adding the 36x because that comes next, right? So I'm going to have 2x squared. I'm going to add the 36x, and then the 15 I would subtract. Okay, and you'll need that for your homework, all right? Because on the back page, they're not in standard form. But example 1 is in standard form, so it's already in standard form. So the first thing I want to check is greatest common factor. What is the greatest common factor? 2. So if I divide by 2, I get 2. And then I'm ready for my a times c, which is going to give me negative 12 and 1. So what factors do you think I'd use? And which one's positive and which one's negative? Negative 3. We're going to have 4 and negative 3. So when I write this, this is what I get. I get x plus 4 and x minus 3. So the way you solve this is you set this equal to 0, this equal to 0, and this equal to 0. All three of them. So I get 2 equals 0, I get x plus 4 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. So the 2 equals 0, does that have a variable in it? No, so I can't do anything with that one. But this one, if I subtract the 4, I get x equals negative 4. And this one, if I add 3, I get x is 3. And these are your answers. So number 1 is the next one in standard form. Why, yes. Yes, it is, Mrs. Archer. Thank you. Next, is there a greatest common factor? 3. So I'm going to divide 3 by 3. And then I'm going to do a times c, which gives me 30 and 11. So what factors of 30 are going to add to 11? 6 and 5. So then we're going to set all three of them equal to 0. So does the first one have a variable? No. But the next one, I get x is negative 6 and x is negative 5. And these are your answers. So example 3, is this in standard form? It's not. Also, is the x squared positive? No. So what do you think we're going to do? That's what I would do. I would add the 12x squared, right? Because that's going to make the 12x squared positive. So if I add 12x squared, I'm going to subtract 44x and then add 24. So what comes next? Which is 4. Bless you. So my A times C is 18 and my B is negative 11. So what factors do I use? And are they positive or negative? They're both negative because a negative times a negative makes a positive, and negative 9 minus 2 is negative 11. Is it just x though? Because this is where a lot of you made mistakes on the test. What's it? It's 3x. So I'm going to have 3x minus 9 and 3x minus 2. Now, do any of these reduce? So this reduces by 3. So now I have 4, I have x minus 3, and 3x minus 2. So I have to set each of those equal to 0. So I have 0 equals 4. Can't do anything with that one. X minus 3, so this one is going to be a positive 3. And then 3x minus 2, I'm going to add the 2 and divide by 3. So my x is 2/3. How about example 4? Divide by what? Yes. So if I divide by 2, and then what? It's a perfect square. So if I set this equal to 0, this equal to 0, okay, so, let me finish. So here we get and this one doesn't get a factor. Okay. How many, do you want to see this next example? How many of you need to see it? The next, number 6 is different, but number 5 is really the same as what we've already done. Are you good? Yeah? Do you want to see it? Nope. You're good? You want to see it? No? Okay. So here's what's different right here. What is my greatest common factor on number 6? So if I divide through by 6x, then I get x squared minus x minus 6. So my a times c is negative 6, and my b is negative 1. So what factors am I going to use? So negative 3 and positive 2. So now I have 6x times x minus 3, x plus 2, and it's equal to 0. So again, you have to set all 3 of them equal to 0, just like we've been doing. So I get 6x equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0, and x plus 2 equals 0. So this time, I do have a variable here, don't I? So if I divide by 6, I get x is 0, and that's an answer this time, so you don't want to miss that one. And this one is 3, and this one's negative 2. So here's what I want you to look at. What's the exponent right here, friends? 3, and how many answers did I get? 3. What's the exponent here? How many answers did I get? 2. So exponent of 2, 2 answers. Exponent of 3, 3 answers. Isn't that fun? Aren't we having fun?